about race in the age of Trump have become more frequent and, of course, and more contentious. But race, according to a recent study, is about more than skin color. It's not just a black and white issue. Does biology determine your racial identity or your race? Here to discuss that is the author of this study, Alvin Tillery, director of the Center for the Study of Diversity and Democracy at Northwestern University in Chicago. Alvin, so explain when you say that it could be about biology. What does that even mean?
Well, Roland, thanks for having me on. Most Americans walk around with a sense of their racial identity that's rooted in biology and genetics. We have this in our common parlance. Black people cannot do well in math because of a sort of genetic thing. I'm sure you remember the fast twitch muscle explains why blacks are better at track or white men can't jump. So we live with this sort of biological conception of race in our society. And so what we wanted to do in our study is to see how much these old ideas, because, frankly, the idea that race is determined by biology is what launched the slave trade. Europeans felt that if they brought people with dark skin to the United States to work in their fields, they would be more successful as slavers because they thought that blacks could work and toil in the sun better than whites. And so what we wanted to know is how much are these old ideas present in our society in a time when you have President Trump fanning race relations like no modern president we've ever seen. And so that's what the goal of the study is.
And how prevalent are these ideas?
They're less prevalent than we thought. I mean, frankly, when I started to partner with Joanna Mountain, who's the chief science officer at 23andMe that sort of co-sponsored the study, we believe that about 2/3 of Americans would have really a strong commitment to the idea that your genetics or biology determines your race. But we actually found the opposite. Only about 1/3 of Americans overall are committed to the idea that your race is determined exclusively by your genetics. And, that's across racial categories. Whites are more strongly committed to the idea. About 4 in 10 whites believe this, and about 3 in 10 Asian, Latino, and African Americans believe this. And so that's good news. It's one of the few good news pieces of data that we've had about race relations and survey research for a very long time. And so we're very excited about the finding.
And so what do we then do with it? And so what is the path forward? What does it look like?
Well, understanding that race is not scientifically sort of determined concept, understanding that our skin color differences are not species differences, right? Our skin color difference is about 1 to 3% of our genome. We're about 99% the same. And so understanding that gives you a lot of power to undo the work of racists. It means that all of the divisions that we see in our society are sort of socially constructed. They're constructed through politics. They're constructed through our markets, through capitalism. And that means that we can fix them if we turn our attention to them and we sort of try to fix them as a society. And so it's just one less area where we have to do heavy lifting, to convince people that we are, more alike than we are different, and we should have a just society where everyone is equal. And so, we have to think about it from the perspective of numbers. So what does it mean to say 1/3 of Americans? So that's about 80 million people do believe that it's strongly connected to biology. And so the scientists on our research team are very upset about this. They think the number should be down 1 to 2%. And so, that's what we need to work toward as a society.
All right, Alvin Tillery, we appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Roland.